All right, so let's look at, let's see, what's a good one to do? Let's look at, actually, look, let's do 1 and 2. But I'm going to start with 2 first. Okay, so we'll do 2, then 1, and then we'll do 3. And then we'll do 6. Okay, so we'll do a few of them. Basic ones, right? Let's look at question 2. So you can see here, oh, by the way, remember, in your equation, maybe just have it up here, your equation for any graph should be y equals mx plus c. Okay, every equation relating to a linear graph or a straight line graph, you've got to have this equation. It should look like this. M represents the gradient. Okay, and then C represents the y-intercept. Now, when you look at the equation, the gradient is always next to the x. Always next to the x. So even if they write it as y equals c plus mx, the gradient is still the one that's coupled with the x. Don't forget that, even if you've written it backwards. And c is always the number that is by itself. So the y-intercept is the number on its own. If we look at this equation, I can see that the gradient is -6, okay, and the y-intercept is +3. But in terms of translating that into the graph, remember with your gradient, if it's a whole number, okay, you can write it here if you want. The gradient is -6, but put it over 1. Because that gives you the rise over run, which is what you need in order to draw your graph. And the y-intercept is the number that is by itself. Just be mindful of the symbol in front of that y-intercept. Okay, that will tell you where it is on the y-axis. All right, so that's your y-intercept, which is +3. +3. All right, so let's graph that on our graph down here. And I think on the SAC, I think I'll make sure to at least include this for you, so you don't have to draw it. You may have to draw the axis lines, but you'll at least have the graph itself. All right, so the y-intercept is what you always start with when you draw these lines. So if you look at the y-intercept, it is +3. The y-intercept is on the y-axis, so somewhere here. Look for +3 on the y-axis, which is right there. There is your first dot. Okay, always start off with the y-intercept. Now we look at the gradient, because remember, you only need to do 2 dots to draw a straight line. The gradient will tell you where the next dot is going to be. It is -6 for the rise. So that means instead of going up, we're going to go downwards because it's a negative. So from the y-intercept, you're going to count 6 spaces down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? And then 1, always go to the right. So 1 across to the right there. So that means your other point is right there. I've got my 2 points, and all I need to do now is join the dots to make a line. Okay, and that's it. There's your graph. You're done. And that's all you need to do when you're drawing lines like this. All right, let's do question 1. Okay, having a look at question 1. Y-intercept and the gradient. So the gradient I can see is the number that's next to the x. In this case, okay, the gradient is 7/2. Because it's a fraction, okay, because this is a fraction, sorry, I don't need to put it over 1 or anything like that. Okay, it's already a fraction. So that tells me the rise and the run. Now, can anyone tell me, is this a positive or a negative gradient? Positive. Okay, is there a negative in front of it? No. It's just a positive gradient. So it's 7/2. Now, the y-intercept is -2. That's fine. I shall always start with your y-intercept. It's on -2 on the y-axis. So look for -2. It's right there. -2, easy. And then the gradient. Remember, if it's positive, you go up. If it's negative, you go down. The number in the top tells you how many spaces to go up. So according to this, it's 7 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the bottom number tells you how much to go to the right. So you're going to go 2 spaces. 1, 2. Okay, there's our other dot. Got your 2 dots. and then you just put your line through it. Oops. Okay, that's it. It's not too hard. The other ones shouldn't be too hard, but I want to go through maybe question 3, and then on the other side of the page, I actually end question 6. Okay, because everyone else should be okay. All right, so let's do question 3. Y equals 5. Okay, now can anyone tell me, is there a gradient here?
Yeah.
No. Remember, the gradient is the number that's coupled with the x. Do you see an x here? No. So that means there's no gradient. All you have is a what? Just the y-intercept, which is -5. Also, you don't even have to tell me, or you don't have to do this. This just says y equals -5. So it's like, oh yeah, y-intercept is -5. So all you're doing for this question is find the y-intercept. -5 down here. Because there is no gradient, all you have to do is just draw a flat line. That's it. That's all it is. What was your question, Tony? Will that be on the sack?
Yeah.
Yes, it'll probably be on the sack. I'll tell you that. Okay, that's not hard, is it? That's all it is. Easy. Okay, what about x equals 5? Okay, now, this is a bit different, but all it's saying is that's your x-intercept, 5. So, on your x-axis, which is this, where is 5? Well, it's just here. Is there a gradient? No. Well, actually, no. Yeah, there isn't a gradient. There's no number coupled with the x. So all you're doing is just a vertical line, like this. That's all it is. X equals 5 is just a vertical line. So see the difference. If you have a y equals line, your line goes horizontal like that. If you have an x equals line, the line goes vertical. That's all it is. All right, I'm going to do one more, and then I'll let you guys work. Okay. Let's go to the other side, and let's do this one. Y equals 5/3x. All right. Remember what I said. The gradient is the number that's next to the x, and then the y-intercept is the number that is on its own. All right, so if I look at this, what's my gradient, guys? Say that again. Gradient equals 5/3. Okay, easy. Now, y-intercept. Is there a number that is by itself there? So what does that mean? The y-intercept has to be nothing, 0. Okay, easy. Y-intercept is 0. If you don't see a y-intercept here, that means it's 0. Now, from there, you still need to do the same process of drawing the lines that we did here. So, for example, if you look here, what did we do? We found the y-intercept first, and then we used the gradient to find the next point. So, if you look at this question 7, where is my y-intercept? It's on this line here. Apparently, it's 0. So, where is 0 on my graph? Right in the middle, the center. Thank you, Alyssa. So, there is my y-intercept. And then you just use your gradient to get the next point. It's a positive gradient, 5/3. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to go 3 across. So 1, 2, 3. There's your next point. Nice and easy. Draw your line. Okay, that's it. Number 4. That one's easy. That's okay. You might have to draw extra ones in it. It might happen in the exam or the SAC. Okay. Do you want to do number 4, or are you guys good? You might have to draw extra lines on top of that. Does happen. All right. Any questions? Okay. Those are the lines that you're going to be expected to draw most of the time. Okay. And then you guys can now